G'day. Well, this afternoon I'm announcing my candidacy to be Deputy Leader of the New Zealand National Party. The John Key-Bill English partnership has taken New Zealand, I believe, to a much better place, and it's been a really great honour to serve in the Key-English Cabinet. It's a measure of John Key's success as Prime Minister that there are three strong, credible, declared candidates for the leadership. We need to maintain the Key legacy and take the party, the government and New Zealand to its next stage of its development. This leadership election is fundamentally about strength and stability and change and rejuvenation. I will be voting for Bill English as leader. Bill English, above all of us in the caucus and cabinet, can deliver us the ongoing strength and stability that New Zealand needs at this time. I am putting my name forward to be the change and the rejuvenation part of the equation. Just as John Key has delivered us a strong cabinet and three strong leadership contenders, he's also delivered us, I believe, a very strong caucus. I believe that it is time for the next generation of the National Party caucus to move into leadership roles. I grew up in 1990s West Auckland. Our local state schools took me from West Auckland to Oxford. The public health system and the welfare state helped our family when we needed it, and we also stood on our own 2 feet. I'm proud that as a lawyer I chose to prosecute rather than defend criminals, and that I represent the tourism, horticulture and export capital of New Zealand. I've a supportive wife and family, and having recently turned 40, I have the outlook of a contemporary New Zealander. I bring that background and life experience to this role as others bring theirs to our party to make the New Zealand National Party the party for all of our nation. The new government will succeed when it carries forward John Key's approach to government, develops its own character and style, and maintains the ongoing commitment to change and rejuvenation within our own ranks. My candidacy is about demonstrating right from the outset a commitment to both strength and stability and change and rejuvenation, and to defeating the Labour Green government at the next election.
So you stand against that you would like to be deputy ahead of someone like, say, Paula Bennett, you would like to be deputy ahead of Paula Bennett?
Correct. I'm standing for deputy leadership. I'm making a very serious bid. I'm in it for keeps. I think I've got a good sense of the sport. I feel like I have good support and momentum. I think whilst Bill English offers the strength and the stability, what I offer is the change and the rejuvenation that I'm hearing from my colleagues, but I think that also New Zealanders want to see is effectively we have a new government.
Don't you think gender balance is important?
Of course it is, and of course that will be important in the picks that the Deputy Prime Minister at the moment, Bill English, makes in terms of his cabinet and so on. But look, I think first and foremost it's about the qualities that someone brings. I think that I bring a very good balance, if you like, complementary skill set and views to Bill English. And as much as I'm from the Upper North Island, I'm from that Golden Triangle there, I have a very urban perspective. And of course there's generational aspect to this as well, because I'm 40, some 14, 15 years younger than Bill is.
Are you
I've talked with Bill English, made very clear my intentions, good conversation. He appreciated the straightforwardness with which I'm approaching these things. Look, I think those are things that you should ask Bill.
So do you think Bill English is going to win, or would you be?
Sorry, just starting.
Look,
Look, my view is that Bill English is going to win. That is the premise on which I base my candidacy, that I will be deputy to Bill English. Ultimately, I haven't given a lot of consideration to the the other permutations. I believe, my expectation is Bill English is going to win, and that's the basis on which I'm standing as Deputy Leader, to be Deputy Leader to Bill English as New Zealand's Prime Minister.
How do you see the votes stacking up at the moment, apart from those people who have declared their hand?
Yeah. Well, look, it's really interesting. I think what we've got at the moment for myself personally is a really good sense of support. I think that there's a genuine desire for that strength and stability of government that Bill English brings, but the caucus also wants to see some change and they want to see rejuvenation. And I think on that basis, as I say, there's a strong sense of support. I feel personally I've got really good momentum.
When the MPs say they want change, what do they, we're hearing this a lot, what do they actually mean? What does change mean?
Well, I think, in terms of my candidacy for Deputy Leader, it means two or three things. I think, firstly, it does mean, in me, in effect, balancing Bill English. It means a younger perspective, a new generation. It also means a change in terms of geographical balance, and that I represent the upper North Island, deeply enmeshed throughout there. I think what it also means is continuing effectively the approach of John Key. They want to be sure that there is going to continue to be rejuvenation. I think in my own story, look, 2013 I think it was, John Key plucked me effectively out from obscurity. He gave me a chance as a minister, and I'm deeply grateful that that happened, and I think we're going to need to continue to see that. I think what we're also talking about is a very real sense from our backbenchers that they want to champion, that they want to see after 8 years of government that we're listening, and I'm pledging to be that person who will strongly listen to them and be a champion for the backbenchers.
Do you really pluck people from the backbench?
Sorry, what's that?
So will you pluck people from the obscurity of the backbench?
Ultimately, of course, that will be for the Prime Minister to make decisions. And, let's be very clear here. This is not about some target or some quota or anything remotely like that. But I think we do need to make sure, and we do need to be quite staunch actually, that we continue to see the change and the rejuvenation that we've had over the last 8 years.
You're talking about backbenchers becoming ministers, aren't you? You're talking, about ministers going and backbenchers coming through. Is that what needs to happen after this?
Not solely. I think, when I talk about change and rejuvenation as a complement to the strength and stability that undoubtedly we have in the current government and we will continue to have in this new government. I'm talking about personalities. I am talking about myself as quite a different perspective to the current kitchen cabinet, and I would bring that to bear. I am talking about that, as I say, ongoing rejuvenation, which is what you're referring to, but I'm also just talking about making sure that 8 years on we are clearly listening to all of our colleagues, and that they have a sense that they have a very strong voice in this government, this new government that we will have.
Do you expect other contenders to show their hand now that you have announced your bid?
Oh, look, that's obviously ultimately for them. We'll see how that goes. I think that's for them.
Did Bill English ask you to do this?
I want to be really clear with you. My whole deputy leadership bid is based around the premise that I will be supporting Bill English, and that I expect, I'm confident to say, that he will be the Prime Minister and the leader of the National Party in a week's time. The honest answer to your question is that I haven't considered that permutation. Look, I'll think that through, but my current thinking is that this is a deputy leadership bid based around supporting Bill English.
So you're confirming your vote for him?
No, I agree. But clearly, as one vote in a cabinet of a caucus, I should say, 58-59, I need to make a decision about who I back. I've thought very carefully about that, and Bill English offers the strength and stability that we need at this time. But I think what is also really clear, and what's come through very strongly, is that there is also a strong desire to see that rejuvenation and that change, in a sense that we're listening 8 years in. And I think I offer that and the ability to provide that to my caucus in spades.
So if Bill English doesn't win, will you pull your candidacy?
Well, look, I think at the moment, the best I can say to you genuinely is my candidacy is premised on Bill English winning. I expect him to win. I don't have a plan B around the rest of that. I'll obviously consider it and consider my position, but at the moment, I don't see myself being deputy leader in other scenarios.
But do you rule out?
Well, at the moment, I don't see it, and it is based around Bill English.
Did you do this to make Bill English look like he had the team behind him?
No, look, I'm doing this for myself because ultimately when I looked at it, when I consider the need for the National Party and the government to continue to change and rejuvenate, I think I've got the skill set that's required. I also want to see us win the next election. I'm highly motivated about that. I think New Zealand needs to see that so we can continue the strong story we've got. But that will be a story that needs to evolve and that needs to have change and rejuvenation. And I'm doing that for that reason. Look, I'm also doing it because I've been talking with my colleagues. I get a really good sense of what they want. And as I say, I think I can provide it. I think at the moment I've got a really good momentum around what I'm doing right now and announcing my candidacy as deputy leader. You know, obviously we've got a few days to go, but I'm in this for keeps. I will be standing and I will be part of the mix for deputy leadership come Monday next week.
What have your colleagues said to you? You said you've been talking to your colleagues. What have your colleagues said?
Look, obviously I'm not going to sort of go there and quote, you know, that Mr B or Ms X said this or that or the other thing. But I think what I can say to you is just what I have, and that is, broadly speaking, I feel good and growing support. That's not to say there won't be a contest. Look, I welcome that if there is. But I feel I've got some support. I feel I've got momentum. I'm going into this to win.
Why would you be a better Deputy Prime Minister than Paula Bennett?
Yeah.
Because she's next generation, she's more experienced than you, she's more high profile than you, she's been closer to Bill English, she's had better portfolios. Why would anyone choose you over Paula Bennett?
Look, I think I'm a really strong candidate. I think I've shown a number of. I have great respect for Paula. I think ultimately you have in me someone who has had experience, who has been and is a front bench member of the government, but who isn't part of the kitchen cabinet, who hasn't been in the inner sanctum there, and who has very good links and support across the National Party caucus. As Transport Minister, I've showed my colleagues very clearly that I listen to them, that I engage with them, and that I try my very best in their electorates to do what's right for them and their electorates. And I think on that basis, there's some points of difference there. I think, look, I go back to it, I take your points, and you can argue them in the various columns and so on that you write. But I do clearly, as a 40-year-old, actually as the youngest front bench member, represent very clear generational change. It's not sort of a decade, it's more than that. I do also, I think, represent what is important an Upper North Island urban perspective.
Do you think
suggesting
that
that Paula doesn't necessarily have the support of backbenchers or she's not close to them as you are?
Look, I'm not going to go through and sort of assess in minute detail the pros and cons of each candidacy. I greatly respect Paula. I've had a really good conversation about this, made clear my intentions, and I have no doubt that whatever happens, we will be great friends and colleagues. But clearly, I'm putting myself forward because I think I have the best attributes to be the Deputy Leader of the National Party, and because I think that in getting that blend that we need at the top of the strength and stability that we clearly have from someone with the experience and the acumen and the expertise of Bill English, I provide something really quite different that will be valued by my colleagues first and foremost. So ultimately it's them that has a vote, but also by New Zealanders.
You mentioned generational change. You voted against marriage equality and issues like that. Do you stand by that?
Look, yeah, look, I do. I appreciate, obviously, we've moved on. I mean, I think we'll all have our different views on a variety of social issues. Euthanasia may well come up. I haven't firmed up my position on that because I think it is inherently a complex issue. But I think in broad terms, as I said to you, I'm a younger generation. I am a contemporary New Zealander. I represent an entirely urban electorate. I have a good sense of the pulse there. A range of people have different views on those sort of social issues, but I put myself forward as someone who does represent change and rejuvenation, who does have a good set of values on contemporary New Zealand, and I'm going to give this my best foot forward.
Would you go against marriage equality now? Or are you saying you've changed your mind?
Look, I haven't thought that through. I'd have to think about the permutations. Obviously, we won't go back, and I wouldn't support going back. I think that's right.
You had some Māori.
Yeah, I'm Ngāti Mania Poto. It's certainly, a personal factor for me. It's part of my whakapapa, quite literally. And so that's, that's something that is there for me. As I said to you, look, I grew up as a Westie. And that's probably very much as much a part of, who I am and the values and the shaping that I've had. But I bring, I think, a broad range of those things, from ethnicity to age to, where I've grown up to what I offer as Deputy Leader of the National Party.
Are you saying you're the Gen X candidate?
Well, look, I think that's a statement of fact.
Minister, part of the reason you're coming out today to announce your bid for the deputy is to tell the backbench and the caucus that they can vote for Bill English and vote for you and still get the change that so many of them seem to desire. And if he's not...
In a nutshell, I think that's correct. I think we have a clear view emerging that Bill English is the best person for the job by a long way. But that things can't stay exactly as they are. This was no longer the John Key-led government to make a statement of the bleedingly obvious, and that there is a need for some change and rejuvenation, and that's based on which I stand. Obviously, much more broadly than that, I also think I've got a strong set of skills and attributes and values that I bring to this. We'll see. Look, I've got a few ideas, but we'll work that through in due course. I'm not going to rule in or out portfolios at the moment. Ultimately, of course, remember this, that will be the Prime Minister's final say. It was the case under John Key, and it will be under Bill English.
You mentioned change to the kitchen cabinet. Who would you like to see in there?
Well, look, clearly me. And that's why I'm standing as Deputy Leader. Look, I ultimately won't choose that. I'll say again, that will be the Prime Minister, and I'm not going to get into some sort of, very simplistic, it's him, her, and so on and so forth. There may not be radical changes in those regards. When I talk about change and rejuvenation, I'm talking about my personal candidacy and what I bring. I am talking about continuing that approach we've seen over the last 8 years, but we absolutely need to keep, and that is continuing to see people moving through the ranks, because we've got a very talented backbench there. And look, I'm also, talking about the need for our members of Parliament to really feel that they are included, that they're listened to as part of government.
So would you still like to see Paula Bennett, Jerry Browning and Stephen Joyce?
Look, I think they're fantastic people, offer huge amounts. I don't see them going anywhere from government, but look, let's... obviously, well, no. Let's leave that for Bill English. It's not for me to, in this stand-up, fear to his discretions around what he does.
How does Bill English represent a refresh and rejuvenation if he's been here since 1990?
I do. I think what I'm saying to you very clearly is, when you set up a government, and this will effectively be a new government because it will have new leadership, you need a blend of values, attributes, skills, and you need to be balancing those things. Clearly, as I've made clear, I'm voting for Bill English. And he brings that strength and stability and acumen we need. But I'm also saying to you, there's a wider set of things that are highly desirable, and I want to help represent those. As I made quite clear, we've had a good conversation about this. I've outlined my intentions. He really appreciates the straightforward way that I've dealt with this. I think you have to ask Bill those sort of questions. Well, I don't think he's endorsed anyone, but look, I think those are questions you should put to Bill English.
Specifically, did Bill English ask you to come out and say that Bill English represents strength and stability, that you represent change?
No, I'm representing my candidacy for the Deputy Leadership of the New Zealand National Party. I'm making clear to you what I have picked up over the last 48 hours from listening to my caucus colleagues and getting a clear sense of what they value and what we've got and what they want to see changed. And that is why I'm standing. Ultimately, Simon Bridges, Bill English, Stephen Joyce and others get one vote in that caucus room. And I've made quite clear to you, look, I feel I've got good support at the moment. I've got a good sense of momentum. Got a few days to go, but I'm playing in this to win. I think we just take two more, eh?
Can you honestly say the up-and-coming backbench MPs appointed in the ministry that having you as a deputy will help them get into senior cabinet and ministerial roles when Bill English
clearly I can't say that in every single case, and that's not what I'm saying. It'd be a simplistic thing and a potentially dishonest thing for me to be saying. What I am saying quite clear is we need to continue what we've had. We cannot slow down rejuvenation. We need to see that continue. And secondly, that actually for my colleagues, they can know and have a confidence with me as their deputy leader that they will be listened to and they will have a champion in the heart of government and the National Party who's advocating for them.
If it came to it, would you step aside for Winston Peters to become deputy PM?
Let's see what happens.
Are you anticipating that the deputy will slip down
Yes.
As a Generation X candidate, do you believe that it's...
What are the years for Gen X? I need to work that out. I've said confidently I am, and then when these guys were laughing in front of me, I had to work it out. I'm not Y, right? I think my wife's Y.
Welcome the opportunity to revisit the issue of superannuation and raising the age, because that is an issue that's important to you.
Look, in terms of, I'm not trying to be cute with you, I think in terms of substantive, difficult policy issues like superannuation, like the social issues that Katie has raised, they're matters for a caucus. I'm not going to come out today with some grand pronouncements of them. My broad assessment on that is that actually what all of the evidence shows is down the track, in the 2020s there will need to be change. That's not something that's on us right now, though.
You just said that you'll be a strong voice in the cabinet for those generations and the issues that actually matter. So isn't that actually an onus on you to be that voice?
Well, my point was that I'll be a strong voice for my colleagues who aren't in cabinet. They'll have a very good sense of that they have someone that is representing them. They, on that particular issue, for example, haven't come to me in a clamour saying we need change on that issue. Yeah, absolutely.
Younger generations, and
absolutely.
That's a big concern for anyone that's not facing imminent retirement.
Well, I think, as I said to Corin, I've given you a sense of my position. Actually, over time there will be change, but it's not on us today.
What do you think?
Okay, last question.
What issues
Katie.
are that matter to millennials then? If you're talking about next generations, what matters to them?
Well, look, there's obviously a range of issues. I think actually we'd all be in a sense surprised about those issues. I think they're probably pretty simple ones. Their job security, their higher wages, their sense that they're living in a country that has got a growing economy, and not only growing economy, but is a more exciting, vibrant place to be than the other options they've got. I think broadly speaking, they've got all that now. But obviously these things are things that we'll listen to. My point around listening and so on was very much in relation to my caucus colleagues, hearing what they have to say. Obviously though, whether it's Stuart Smith, the MP for Kaikoura, and we've seen what he's dealing with, whether it's Simon Bridges, MP for Tauranga at the moment, we are not living in ivory towers. We're deeply meshed in our communities, and we over time pick up a very strong sense of what the people we represent want to see. Okay, lucky last.
You don't think that housing is the biggest issue for millennials right now?
Housing's clearly an issue, and that's why the government is trying to attack it on many levels. It's clearly a complex, difficult issue that isn't, quote, solved very quickly or very easily. Okay, thanks very much. No, that's great.